Welcome to another episode of GL Rustic Design, owned and operated by Andrew Lewis. So here today we're going to be working on a small entry table. It's going to measure roughly 52 inches long, 32 inches tall, and 18 inches wide. So here you see I'm doing the legs. I've used 1x4s for the legs. I'm putting them together at 90 degrees. I've already ran all the Craig jig holes that are needed. I'm putting them at 90 degrees, and I've drilled 3 Craig jig holes. It's going to be a 1.5 inch screw that will hold the legs together. So this will be each corner. Same process for all 4. So these will be roughly cut at 30.5 inches, and then the tabletop will make up the remaining 1.5 inches. And then so after I do all 4 corners, I will measure up the 2x4s that you see laying to the right of the table. Those are going to be roughly cut somewhere in the neighborhood of 48 inches wide, and that will be there should be 4 of those, so you'll have supports, top, bottom, and then on the back, same thing, top and bottom. And then on the 1x4s for the legs, fair to mention, so if you have 4 corners, you're going to have 8 pieces of those cut at 30.5 inches. So here I'm using the clamp, and I'm just going to drill me 2 holes, and then run a 2-inch screw. I personally use Torx bits, so that will be a T20 Torx bit and a 2-inch screw just to kind of hold that firm. And then I'll do one side at a time. Forgot my tape measure. And then I left I left a 2-inch gap at the bottom, so it's not sitting all the way on the floor. And then which that gap, it can be 2 inches, 3 inches, however you want it. So like I said, same process, drill them 2 holes and then run 2 T20 Torx bits. And then flip it over and do the same process. So I wanted the 1x4 to be facing the front, and that's what I'm trying to decide here, how I wanted it. So instead of seeing where it was jointed together, it was flipped around. So I'm looking at the front. And then so on the back side of those 2x4s that you use for the supports, those will also act as where you set the very top of the entry table and then the second shelf of the entry table. So with that being said, you'll need to drill pocket holes that will be going upwards, 1.5 inch pocket holes. I think I drilled 1, 2, 3. I drilled 4. You can drill 3 or whatnot. So all that's acting as is you're holding the tabletop and the second shelf. That is pretty much all that's holding those down, so that you're not running any kind of screws through the top and whatnot. I think later in the video I actually show where I had ran those pocket holes and the screws that were in them. So this one is going to be the same process as a while ago. I have the 1x4s already cut up, Craig jigged hold, and then I'm just pretty much attaching the 2x4s. So this would be the back of the entry table. So same process. So while we're doing this over again, I just want to say, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please go ahead and do that for more content. Whenever I get something else next, I will post it. I got a buffet coming up. I might do an extra kitchen table. As you can see to the left of there's a kitchen table. That's a 5-foot table with the X design base, and then it has a bench that came along with that one also as well. And then also have cabinet doors. I've completed 3, and I'm still trying to work out the kinks and me trying to learn a new process over again. So that will be coming up soon as well. I also have a Facebook page called GL Rustic Design, and my Instagram is called GL Rustic Design. If y'all want to head over there and like those as well. So this is the same process as it was for the front. Just tightening those down, put me 2 holes, and then running a 2-inch Torx bit into the 2x4s from the back to the front to support the 2x4s to the angled pieces of wood that we used as legs. So here, this will be the middle supports, and I believe those were roughly 14 inches cut. Like I said, you can make this however wide you need it. I want to say mine were right at 14 inches, and then I drilled 4 pocket holes, two on each underside. I'm sorry, I drilled 5 pocket holes, 2 on each underside, so 2 here, and then when you flip it over, you would have 2 more to hold those the 2x4s that we cut at 48 inches long. And then I drilled 1 more pocket hole, as you can see, in the middle, going upwards to hold the edge when you eventually put the top on. So you can see the 2 pocket holes that I have going down into that 2x4. Then you will flip it over and do the other 2 pocket holes to finally connect the whole table together. And those are 1.5 inch pocket holes. And thankfully here in Alabama it has finally cooled off, so there will be no more sweating because it has been hot. Okay, so here I'm working on the bottom. So I'll just flip the other side over on top where that needs to go. So the 2x4s, they'll virtually go in the same spot. You want to make sure you have your bottom and bottom lined up. As you can see, the table is finally came together now. Like I said, making sure that small piece of 2x4 is lined up with the other one that we cut as the front or the back. Make sure those are lined up, and then 2.5 inch pocket holes to finally connect those together. And this will be the same concept at all 4 corners. So once you get all of those pocket holes ran, the next step should be you're going to cut out a 1x4 for the back, for the back supports. I'm kind of jumping ahead here. So if you put a mark in the very middle of the top, which you'll see once I eventually flip this over. Might I add? So here I went back, and just to make sure that the whole thing is secured, I'm just drilling a hole, and I'm putting another 2-inch screw that holds that small 2x4 onto the frame. This thing shouldn't bear a whole lot of weight, but just it's better to have it sturdy than to have it even just a little bit wobbly. All right, so here we're gonna flip it up. I'm just gonna twist my table around. So here I'll be doing the back. You'll, like I said, take a piece, put it in half, and you'll go off a few inches here, and then just line it up. This is how I've always done it, instead of trying to figure out the angle. So get it to where you want it to be. I usually go 2 or 3 inches from the middle, both to each side, and then just draw me a small line on the face of that, and then actually here, see, you want to do it on the bottom, the very bottom, and then the top, and then I go over to my miter saw, and then I just cut that line. So it takes away all of the trying to find an angle and potentially messing your piece up. And this will be one side of the cross brace, and then from here, what I'll do is I'll put it back to the markings that I had it, and then I'll grab my clamp and I will clamp it to the back just so it doesn't move, and then I'll drill me 2 holes in the top, 2 holes in the bottom, and then I'll run some more 2-inch screws just to hold that firm. Like I said, here drilling 2 holes. Grab me a T20 torch bit screw, just 2 in the back or 2 in the bottom, 2 in the top. Same way with this side. I went ahead and cut it and all that just to speed the process up a little bit. Clamp it down, drill 2 holes in the top, 2 more holes in the bottom, and then I run me two screws in the top, 2 screws in the bottom. And the purpose of the holes is so that you don't crack any of the wood since you're so close to the edge. It's always good to pre-drill the holes in any situation. When I first started, learning the lesson the hard way. And then so there is your back support. Like I said, you can do that from, if you want to do the angle the other way and make it a V, instead of upside down V, you can make it a right side up. So here I'm just want to show off my joiner a little bit. So it's a Grizzly 8-inch joiner, and what I'm doing is this is the tabletop, and the edges, they wasn't 100% straight, so they wouldn't flush together. So I'm just running across the joiner. And then here, so I cut 2 of those, 2 2x10s at 52 inches, and then I drilled 5 or 6 pocket holes in the back, 2.5 inch pocket holes. So I'm just connecting my top here. It's upside down, then I'll flip it right side up, and then so the bottom shelf will virtually be the same thing, but I think I took 2x8s, measured the distance of the shelf that I needed on the bottom, cut that, and then I want to say the width was 7 inches or so in here. So I'm showing you the pocket holes that I was mentioning earlier, from where I drilled them on the inside of the 2x4 just to connect the top and the second shelf. And so here's the second shelf. I used 2x8s for this. I want to say the width ended up being somewhere around 14 inches, so I had to run them through the table saw at 7 inches, and then I used the joiner again to make sure all the edges were straight, nice and straight. And boy, let me tell you, that thing came in handy. I don't know why I waited so long to get one, but I went ahead and got me a industrial size joiner, which I hope in future videos I can show that a little bit more. As well with my shaper table that I also got from Grizzly. So like I said, so here is I ran 4 or 5 pocket holes. This is the second shelf. And then I squeezed it in there, hammered it down, and then took my impact and the head that comes with the Craig jig. I used it and put all my screws in from the bottom side up, and that secured the 2 shelves. And I mean, that's pretty much it. And after this, I stained it that brown provincial you see on the top of that tabletop there. And then I distressed the base, which you'll see in the 2 upcoming pictures. Once again, I just want to say thank you all for watching my video, and especially thanks for the ones who have subscribed and who have watched my videos. Thank you.